In Numbers 28 and 29, Yahweh spoke to Moshe to command the children of Israel what they shall offer to Yahweh in their appointments, besides their vows and their freewill offerings, for their ascending offerings, and for their grain offerings, and for their drink offerings, and for their peace offerings. And Moshe told the children of Israel according to all that Yahweh commanded Moshe. Bamidbar, Numbers chapter 30. And Moshe spoke to the heads of the tribes of the children of Israel, saying, This is the thing which Yahweh hath commanded. When a man voweth a vow to Yahweh, or sweareth an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth. Also, when a woman voweth a vow to Yahweh, and bindeth herself by a bond, being in her father's house, in her youth, and her father heareth her vow, and her bond wherewith she hath bound her soul, and her father is being silent toward her, then all her vows shall stand, and every bond wherewith she hath bound her soul shall stand. But if her father disallow her in the day that he heareth, none of her vows or of her bonds wherewith she hath bound her soul shall stand, and Yahweh will forgive for her, because her father disallowed her. And if she be married to a husband, while her vows are upon her, or the rash utterance of her lips, wherewith she hath bound her soul, and her husband hear it, and he is being silent toward her in the day that he heareth it, then her vows shall stand, and her bonds, wherewith she hath bound her soul, shall stand. But if her husband disallow her in the day that he heareth it, then he shall make void her vow which is upon her, and the rash utterance of her lips, wherewith she hath bound her soul, and Yahweh will forgive for her. But the vow of a widow, or of her that is divorced, even everything wherewith she hath bound her soul, shall stand against her. And if she vowed in her husband's house, or bound her soul by a bond with an oath, and her husband heard it, and he was silent toward her, and disallowed her not, then all her vows shall stand, and every bond wherewith she bound her soul shall stand. But if her husband made them null and void in the day that he heard them, then whatsoever proceeded out of her lips concerning her vows, or concerning the bond of her soul, shall not stand. Her husband hath made them void, and Yahweh will forgive for her. Every vow and every binding oath to afflict the soul, her husband may establish it, or her husband may make it void. But if her husband silently was silent toward her from day to day, then he establisheth all her vows, or all her bonds, which are upon her. He hath established them, because he was silent toward her in the day that he heard them. But if he shall make them null and void after, when he hath heard them, then he shall bear her iniquity. These are the statutes which Yahweh commanded Moshe between a man and his woman, between a father and his daughter, being in her youth, in her father's house. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Avenge the children of Yisrael of the Madyanim. Afterward shalt thou be gathered to thy people. And Moshe spoke to the people, saying, Arm ye men from among you for the war, that they go against Madyan, to execute Yahweh's vengeance on Madyan.